We are happy to present our paper, Becoming Musical Theatre Artists, Participating in a Border-Crossing Process Towards a Musical Performance. The Anthropocene conserves hierarchies in society, which among other things hinder humans with intellectual disabilities to participate in society fully, although policy documents at several levels state the human right to be heard and listened to, and to experience arts and express oneself artistically. Further, the Anthropocene calls upon music education scholars to see themselves as participants in a becoming world, where everything is interconnected and exploration takes place in a tentative trial and error manner. To challenge norms and structures related to both musical educational research practice and structures of municipal organizations, this study considers the interdependent and tangled relationships between humans and the more than human world in a Swedish musical comedy project, Sammankonst, Come Together Art, as an example of experimentation and inevitably action via diverse adventures in living. Musical comedy research is a growing area, which on the one hand shows the importance that teacher can use all the register of action as participant, as facilitator, leader, and artist. It has been stated that the process of musical comedy production functions as an architecture for mutual learning among all involved, which to some extent challenge the Anthropocene. The relationship between teachers, artistic competence, and pedagogical practice has also been underlined as a crucial to handle, which in turn demands broad and deep education for musical comedy learners that artists and pedagogues work together. In addition, collaboration with the local context and the professional musical life is important. Not least, outcomes of participating in musical comedy projects are illuminated as increased of self-confidence, musical learning, and lifelong learning. When it comes to musical comedy activities involving humans with intellectual disabilities, there are two clear trends visible in earlier research. First, therapeutical effects, physical, emotional, cognitive, and spiritual. Secondly, there has been an interest for how intellectually disabled human acts professionally in musical comedy settings and control the situation. Research concerning collaboration with music students in higher music education are although not common, which makes the current study important. Kulturverket is a municipal organization in the northern part of Sweden that employs professional artists and educators working with arts and culture-based projects. The organization has, through 15 years and several funded projects, developed a working model labeled the relay model. Kids tells the pros what to do. Accordingly, all participants, including children and youngsters, are seen and valued as creators who take part in collaboration and visualization and generating ideas guided by Kulturverket. In this paper, we explore what the organization of Kulturverket could contribute with when it comes to post-anthropocentric border-crossing equal possibilities for musical becoming. To make the exploration possible, we have chosen to share the 3-year musical comedy project Sammankonst as an example. The project includes adolescents with intellectual disabilities, adolescent folk high school musical comedy students, and Kulturverket's artists and educators. When the current analysis took place, Sammankonst had been running for 1.5 years out of 3. The specific aim of the study was to illuminate how organizational norms and traditional structures were challenged and what possibilities and new challenges that could occur in a project taking place beyond the Anthropocene-based structures using a post-human approach. What can the organization of Kulturverket contribute with when it comes to opening for post-anthropocentric approaches to arts learning activities? How are actors interacting when Kulturverket, adolescents with intellectual disabilities, and adolescents musical comedy students are to create a musical comedy together? And how is that related to the organization of the activities? What becomings are visible in the entanglements constituting Kulturverket's project Sammankonst as a network? The post-human approach offers specific conceiving of humans as intertwined with other actors. The key idea of post-humanism is entanglements. The concept refers to an assemblage of entities and beings, of humans and more than humans, materialities and discourses. Actors are seen as non-distinct and non-autonomous and as influencing other actors as well as the system they are intertwined with. As educational researchers, it is important to recognize and take responsibility for the entanglements we are active in and treat educational situations as human more than human entanglements. Learners are, in other words, entangled, and pedagogy can be seen as a co-created journey of discovery rather than a simple content delivery. The interest of educational scholars is from post-human perspective to understand how learners and teachers are interconnected with space beyond disciplines. In the post-human approach of the study, where nature and culture are seen as intertwined, agential and entangled, encouraged experimental approaches. As mentioned, we as researchers were entangled with actors in the project, which created a huge network of materials. The entanglements are situated in time and space and are connected in a larger network that constitute the project as a whole. Our challenge was to handle the material in a way that made actors as well as actions, entanglements, and becomings visible and possible to understand. The situations were viewed as webs of relations, including human actors, digital material actors, and discursive actors. The study is based on internet-related ethnography, where digital and physical situations and entanglements are seen as intertwined and not possible to separate. We interacted with other actors in the study during 1 year through analog and virtual observations. Together with the participants from Fritid för alla, or FFA, Musikalakademin, or MA, and Kulturverket, we participated in rehearsals, workshops, and concerts, where we made field notes. We took part of activities via Zoom. We got access to video recordings of workshops, interviews, and performances. We also accessed shared Google documents, including fluid planning, tasks, text, and music. We conducted qualitative surveys, individual interviews, and group interviews. Actor network theory, or ANT, was applied, aiming to describe and understand the constantly performed interactive entanglements constituting the musical comedy project seen as a network. ANT aims to describe how interactive networks, where natural and social worlds are seen as mutually emergent and entangled, were constituted and how included actors were influencing each other. ANT analysis can be conducted in 3 steps. Step 1 identifies which human and more than human actors that are present in the networks. Step 2 attends to questions regarding what the different actors do in the networks and how they influence interactive processes. Step 3 describes the effects of processes as well as the different meetings and connections that occur as the actors are identified and connected. The analysis identified significant actors in the organizing and performing processes which were co-extensive with the network. Hence, the actors as well as their trajectories connected in time and space are crucial to describe and try to understand. The ANT analysis identified significant human, digital material, and discursive actors, as well as trajectories in sammankomst, which challenge the anthropocentric organizational structures. The actors' actions and how they influenced interactive processes will be exemplified by 3 chosen entanglements concerning manuscript writing, music making, and performance. Finally, we will discuss the effects of the process, and as well as the different meetings and connections that occurred. The significant groups of human actors were the adolescents with intellectual disabilities participating in FFA, the adolescent musical comedy students at MA, and the artist educators employed at Kulturverket. In addition, leaders at FFA, teachers at MA, and visiting artists, as well as parents of the adolescents from FFA and the audience, were to some extent entangled along with people working at the city's opera house and other institutions Kulturverket engaged in the process. Within the groups, the individual interacted in varied ways depending on earlier experiences, goals with the participation in sammankomst and other individual prerequisites. Material digital actors can be defined as organizational, communicative, and creative actors. Organizational actors in the entanglements were, for example, administration, economy, forms of employment, the locals, time and working models. Communicative actors were, for example, digital information channels, documents, digital bank of ideas, Zoom and team meetings, and mobile phones. Creative actors were, for example, artistic expressions, studios, concerts, workshops, and avatar participation. And finally, the discursive actors found as significant in the material were the holdings of Kulturverket, the musical artist school tradition, and norms related to disability. The holdings of Kulturverket elevate ideas of collaboration and co-learning, prestigelessness on a high artistic level, and that all ideas are important. The musical school tradition is exemplified by the master apprenticeship model, and norms related to disability can be exemplified by exclusion from high quality artistic work or consumptions of higher need for possibilities to be listened to. To describe what the actors did and how that influenced the interactive processes that were taking place, we will share 4 creative entanglements. 3, I mean. The growth of a story, composition of songs, and middle way concert. The manuscript for the musical was developed during about 18 months. The participants from MA and FFA were invited before the COVID-19 pandemic to join the writing of the manuscript. Personal stories and theme suggestions were gathered, and some themes were chosen for further development, as to be new in a group, at a new place, pride, love, and dreams. Kulturverket told the participants from FFA that they would gather all their ideas, stories, and thoughts in a collective treasure chest. The same process took place with the participants from MA. All the ideas were put into a Google document, the treasure chest, where more ideas continually could be added. Gradually, a professional manuscript writer, a librettist, was intertwined with the writing process. He created several frame stories that the 2 groups worked further with in guided workshops. The results were taken care of, and the manuscript was developed intertwined with the songs that were created parallelly. Some of the characters in the musical were pre-recorded and only visible via screen in order to diminish aspects of anxiety triggered by stage fright, which influenced the creation of the manuscript as a whole. The end analysis implies that interactions took place within the manuscript writing, entanglement between the human actors and their personal stories, digital material actors, as well as discursive actors. All involved actors are possible to see as non-distinct and non-autonomous. They influence each other and the entanglement of writing and the development of the story. Among all the participants, some had previous experience in writing music and or lyrics, and others didn't, but they were all encouraged to do so in the project. Firstly, the MA students were encouraged to write 2 lines of text based on a theme, then to create a melody to the text and then record the outcome. Kulturverket gave them feedback and encouraged MA to build their melodies to create a part of a song, record and send it to Kulturverket for more feedback. In the next workshop, MA and Kulturverket collaborated to finalize the songs. Within the FFA group, participants could choose or not to be involved in the music making in relation to the developed themes in the musical. They worked mainly individually and interacted with text and music specialists at Kulturverket. The FFA members started with an idea about the groove or lyrics, which they communicated to Kulturverket orally by mood boards with clips from internet, via recorded verbal messages, or by Google document tables. Kulturverket treated all ideas from FFA in close collaboration with the composers in order to develop music and lyrics suitable to fit the musical comedy, as well as the ideas of the composers. Significant actors within the composition processes belong to all three groups of actors. It became clear that composition processes seen as entanglements offered becomings as composers and singers in varied ways. The interactions were experienced with both the FFM members who had strong ideas regarding how the music should sound, the MA students who were rather steered by the musical comedy educational tradition. The digital material actors also became significant in the composing entanglements. Halfway through the project, a concert was arranged where songs that didn't make it cut into the final version of the musical comedy was performed. It took place at a public scene in the city and included professional musicians, sound engineers, light engineers, ticket administration, audience, and conscious choices of clothes and accessory. We will have a look at one example where a girl sings her own song where the text goes, "I am singing and dancing. I am free when I am on stage. This is where I am comfortable and I always want to stay. My biggest wish of all is that my dream will come true. To do what I love, I know that I can do it." It became clear how significant actors interacted in this process of becoming musical artists. The professional human, material, digital, and discursive actors appeared as significant. The consent entanglement offered all involved becoming as actors in a professional atmosphere. In other words, natural and social worlds of the conscious were mutually emergent and entangled and further constituted how the included actors were influencing each other. The ant analysis implies that the created porous border-crossing entanglements offer the actors to feel, think, and imagine themselves and the different aspects of musical comedy work relationally. Even though the COVID-19 pandemic contributed with some boundaries, human, material, digital, as well as discursive actors were involved in the process of becoming, interacting over borders. Views of becoming a musical comedy artist expanded, as well as what knowledge and material digital actors that contribute within the entanglements. The roles as teachers and learners show to be flexible and constantly changing between the human actors dependent on earlier experiences, impetuses, and challenged norms. In addition, other human and more than human actors were invited in varied ways to contribute to meaningful becoming. As seen in the examples above, the physical and virtual environments used in Sammankomst, together with the actors, encouraged co-creation of knowledge and skills in processes of becoming. In line with Blakey, Sammankomst represents non-hierarchical, non-oppressive relations and can be seen as a co-created journey of discovery rather than simple content delivery. The AMP analysis implies that the musical comedy project Sammankomst run by Kulturverket opens up for and encourages interaction between human actors such as artists, educators, adolescents, musical comedy students, adolescents with intellectual disabilities, digital material, and discursive actors. The interactions encourage participants becoming as musical comedy artists through writing, theater activities, music making, and performance on equal grounds. As mentioned, neoliberal powers that bring forth a focus on audits and measurements, accountability, competition, and effectiveness, and steering organizational of institutions established in the anthropocentric world. Kulturverket as an organization works contradictory to this. What is needed in all organizational, collegial, and political areas is the introduction of reinforcement of holistic views of knowledge and competence and non-hierarchical views of educational relations. Border-crossing interactions in between different actors in municipalities are crucial to overcome segregation and stagnation in and between organization and groups of people. Thank you.